August 12th, 2021 by developer Antab Studio and publisher Merge Games. Foreclosed is a cyberpunk noir-styled action-adventure title that doesn't try to reinvent the genre, but still manages to bring an appreciated level of quality regardless. Thanks to the publisher for the review key.
I'll also need an update on the search about Kiklos.
Well, sadly, Katnos killed him before we could do anything. We'll have to close that file.
Let's break this bad boy down first with a story. The story of Foreclosed is really some generic B-movie stuff that I'd expect to see in a 90s action film. Set in the distant, or by the way things are looking nowadays, maybe not so distant future, you're Evan Kapnas, and you wake up to an email informing you that your identity has been foreclosed. So basically, you're on the verge of losing everything, including your life, as the world you inhabit is controlled by implants, and with these implants, governments can completely shut you down with the click of a button.
Turns out, my life was interesting to the wrong people and for all the wrong reasons.
You're trying to get to the courts and sort this mess out before your identity is auctioned off. As you progress, you'll meet a mysterious lady who contacts you, telling you there's more to this than meets the eye, which also affects her and she needs your help fixing this dilemma.
Kiklos is a free man in our system. I'm not that lucky, but my expertise could settle my debt. If only I can keep the experimentation going. You are all that's left of my work.
The story is played out in a somewhat incoherent and thrown together way, but this and a few other shortcomings are eventually justified by the elements Foreclosed got right.
Glad to see we are starting to understand each other.
Moving right along, the audio. I'd say the audio was well put together in a sweet B-movie kind of way. The voice acting is subpar B-movie stuff, but the score works well. Subpar B-movie isn't bad, just not the kind of thing you'd expect to hear in a Hollywood blockbuster. So, I'm not saying this is some original Resident Evil bad voice acting, but it's noticeably mediocre, particularly Evan's monologues and dialogue. The game goes in for this Max Payne film noir style, where Evan talks to himself a lot, and it has a really try-hard vibe to it.
The court. Once all contracts were duly signed, my last job was to make sure the official receiver would validate them and upload them into the blockchain before the auction.
The gunshots also sounded pretty weak. I'm also not 100% with the footsteps either, but regardless, the sound design gets a passing grade.
That wasn't my best day so far, but it was still pretty early.
I do like that little touch. When the lady helping you speaks to you through your implant, you hear her voice through the PS4. Nothing new, but I notice it with a smile every time.
Okay, now, reach the lower floor moving into the shaft. Find a safe spot and I'll be there with a car in minutes.
The visuals, lovely. Later in the game, again, with the nod to Max Payne, there's an area that has the potential to be headache-inducing. But other than that, the visuals are solid. Created with a cel-shaded art style in a comic book format where you have an actual live comic book experience with multiple dynamic camera angles. 2 thumbs up for the visuals.
As long as the implants were dependent on my survival, I could keep pretending I had a friend.
Building 3. There's an elevator there you can use to leave the complex.
Let's move over to gameplay. This is where I go to town on this game, but in a good way. After playing through the entire story, I felt like giving Foreclosed a standing ovation. Now let me explain, because I'm not new to this. I've played games from all walks, from indie to AAA and all genres, from many different time periods. Foreclosed is what I'd like to call a compact, balanced experience. It doesn't try to do overly ambitious things, hanging its hat out of reach or overstaying its welcome. Foreclosed has this sweet balance. And for this, I applaud these devs. There is run and gun action, stealth, special abilities, and some really light puzzle sections. All of the aforementioned elements have their strengths and shortcomings. The action starts off with a bit of stealth. Throughout Foreclosed, you'll find yourself sneaking up on or past the enemy. You'll be sneaking up on turrets, sneaking past drones. And while there isn't a proper cover mechanic, none of these sections were a bore or a chore. They were well designed, with not too much to them, or too much missing. You may find yourself replaying a few of these, but if you exercise patience and common sense the first time through, it may be a breeze. You eventually get your sidearm.
I still feel it, that cold shiver under my skin.
Let me just put this out there, straight away. This is the only gun you'll have the entire game. But here's the thing. While it will overheat, it never runs out of ammo and never needs to be reloaded. And it can be upgraded. Aiming is also really well handled here. And the enemy AI, even on the hardest difficulty, isn't a problem. I witnessed a few bullet sponge moments though, not appreciated. And for a game that offers so much gun action, to not allow you to crouch and shoot at the same time feels like one of those "what were you thinking" moments. Then you have your augmentations, your special abilities, courtesy of your implant. You're able to unlock new abilities through XP you earn while in game. These abilities, after you have unlocked the first 3 or so, will have you feeling overpowered. You have one that allows you to overcharge your implant and cause a powerful explosion. You also have telekinesis, so you'll have the ability to slam your enemies to the floor, shoot them up in the air, create temporary force fields, and a few more. These upgrades work for your sidearm as well. You'll have the option to spend your XP on either your implant or your gun. You can assign 4 implant upgrades and 3 perks at a time. And to use those during battle is seamless.
Protect the entrance.
You can also use your telekinesis for environment kills. Then there are the light puzzle elements. For like-minded folks out there, rest easy, I emphasize on light. These puzzles, if you can even call them that, are really simplistic and no brainbusters. You may have to hit 3 switches to power up a door, or move some containers around to reveal or create a path. You'll also need to do some of the easiest hacking I've seen in a video game in a while. But this is as complicated as these puzzles are gonna get.
Just one more deal before I could reach the court.
You're also given a choice dialogue system. I get the feeling that if I were to replay this game though and choose differently, the game would have had all the same outcomes. Don't quote me on that, it's just a feeling.
Technically, it's not like we're killing anyone.
Foreclosed also has multiple endings, well, 2 that I know about. Now, here's my question to you. Do you notice a pattern here? This is just a part of that sweet balance I alluded to earlier. The stealth, yes, it is basic, but none of the sections last long, and although you have only 1 stealth takedown, the fact that these stages aren't all about takedowns makes it tolerable, barely noticeable really. The run and gun. You only have 1 weapon, but it's pretty damn versatile, and you don't ever have to reload it. The action leaves you feeling overpowered, but the controls are real tight and works really good. There is no cover system to speak of, but there are no camera issues either, so ducking down Evil Within style, as opposed to sticking to cover, works just fine here. What I'm getting at is, while this game is no Sistine Chapel, while it's not breaking new ground, it does a real good job of holding its shit together. And here's the kicker. Should any of these minor issues have the potential of getting old, the game wraps up in no time. I completed Foreclosed in 1 sitting. So as far as I see, the devs have all the bases covered. Quick in, quick out.
And it works. Good.
It's really the ideal compact experience for fans of third-person action games. It does nothing horribly wrong, everything seems tight, and because it's no groundbreaker, before you get the chance to get bored, it's over.
This is it, Capnos. All you have to do is to make sure the official receiver will validate the transactions.
And not only is it short, but it's easy. Not just easy because of dumb AI either. The game was designed from the ground up for you to win. the controls, your special abilities, your Energizer Bunny sidearm, the lack of any boss fights, the simplistic puzzles. Look, I know where to go when I want my sadomasochistic fixes. I literally have thousands of games to choose from, but I generally like a one-sitter, and Foreclosed is one of the best in its class I've played in quite some time.
Capnose? Don't be foolish. Put that gun away.
AAA games are all well and good, but many times, if you'd like a truly unique experience, one off the beaten path, then the indie scene is where you want to be. Show your support for independent game developers. Most, if not all, indie games are priced relatively low. Some are even free with the option to donate, so there's really no reason to pass. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If I pissed you off for some reason, then hey, we all know where to find the various hate buttons, don't we? Either way, I won't hold it against you. Our game is never over.
I promise you will get your life back. Be sure, Capnos, I can't lose my research.